What if I told you that one of the smallest molecules in the known universe could influence energy, inflammation, oxidative stress, even cells? Sound a little hard to believe? But molecular hydrogen is becoming one of the most interesting molecules being studied in medicine and metabolic health. And what makes this especially interesting to me is that many of these areas researchers are exploring are the same areas I see involved in metabolic disease every single day. Inflammation, cellular stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, poor metabolic signaling, low energy production. And when these cells aren't functioning properly, the body struggles to produce energy, manage inflammation, and regulate why it was designed to do. So when I started looking deeper into the molecular hydrogen, what caught my attention wasn't hype. It was the science around what may be happening inside the cells. Because this molecule is incredibly small enough to move through cell membranes, small enough to reach the mitochondria, the energy factors of your cells. And some emerging research suggests it may influence inflammation, oxidative stress, mitochondrial performance, and metabolic health. So let's break down what molecular hydrogen actually is, what the research is exploring, and why people in metabolic health, neurology, and performance medicine aren't paying attention. Think of it almost like an extremely small messenger. Because of its size, it can travel into places where larger compounds often struggle to reach. Inside tissues, inside your cells, even into the mitochondria, which are basically the energy factories inside your cells, and why this matters. Because mitochondria are responsible for producing ATP, your body's cellular energy currency. When mitochondrial function drops, you often see fatigue, metabolic dysfunction, inflammation, and poor health. This is one reason some people feel frustrated, because they eat healthy, but they still feel exhausted, still feel inflamed, still struggling metabolically because nutrition is only part of the picture. The deeper conversation involves oxidative stress, mitochondrial health, and how your cells are actually functioning underneath. And these are all areas where molecular hydrogen has generated scientific interest. If this is making sense to you and you want more content like this, explaining complex health topics in a practical way, hit the subscribe. I break this down every week. Now let's talk about where researchers are actually exploring molecular hydrogen, because this isn't limited to one health category. Studies have looked into areas like neurology, inflammation, cardiovascular health, metabolic dysfunction, exercise recovery, and insulin sensitivity. For example, some neurological studies have explored molecular hydrogen in conditions like oxidative stress and neurodegeneration. Researchers have looked at things like stroke recovery, brain inflammation, and cellular protection inside the nervous system. In metabolic health, some studies have explored potential improvements involving fatty liver, inflammatory markers, oxidative stress, and insulin sensitivity. There's also growing interest around mitochondrial performance, because mitochondria don't just influence energy, they influence metabolic regulation, cell signaling, inflammatory balance, even how efficiently your body responds to insulin. And in performance medicine, researchers have explored how molecular hydrogen may influence recovery, fatigue, and oxidative stress generated during intense exercise. Now, does this mean molecular hydrogen is a miracle molecule? No. Does it mean everyone watching needs it? No. But it does raise an important question. If oxidative stress, cellular dysfunction, and mitochondrial stress are involved in so many chronic conditions, should we be paying more attention to supporting the cell itself? That's really the bigger conversation here. And this is the part I want to emphasize, because I don't want anyone watching this thinking, great, I found the magic molecule. That's not what this is. No molecule, no supplement, no therapy replaces understanding what's actually driving dysfunction in your body. Because if inflammation is high, if toxins are present, if nutrient deficiencies exist, if gut dysfunction is happening, if metabolic dysfunction is happening underneath, you still have to address the root problems. Think of molecular hydrogen as a potential tool, not magic, not a shortcut, a tool that may support broader strategy focused on restoring cellular health. At this point, you might be wondering, okay, this sounds interesting, but how do I actually know what's driving dysfunction in my body. And that's exactly where most people get stuck. They're told to manage the symptoms, sometimes medications, sometimes supplements, but they're never shown what's actually happening underneath. When you start thinking in terms of cellular health, metabolic function, inflammation, and mitochondrial performance, you begin looking at chronic disease differently. And that's ultimately the bigger conversation here. Not just managing symptoms, understanding what's happening underneath. There are many things that could be causing cellular dysfunction. Based on science, molecular hydrogen is a great start to boosting cellular health. There are many things that could be causing cellular dysfunction, but based on the science, molecular hydrogen is a great place to start boosting your cellular health.